Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about the news that Chris Haynes and Charania broke that the Phoenix Suns are trading Jusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin and Vasilije Micic. Love it, and they'll get a 2026 second-round pick in return. They're also, I think Phoenix acquired these picks through that Utah deal, which was allowed them to unload the contract of Nurkic, which personally I thought was great. Why? Because it gives them another guy in Micic that can pass the ball. He's a really good table setter. Gives them like a legitimate other point guard outside of Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, and obviously Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. That legitimately is going to be able to run the second unit. And then Cody Martin gives them a toolsy wing that replaces Josh Okogie. And this is a guy that they were trying to get in Martin since the deal with Nick Richards a few weeks ago, because they had interest in his toolsiness. And I agree. I think he was going to be someone that was going to be able to contribute to the Hornets, like not Hornets, but what we saw him do on the Hornets was going to be able to contribute to the Phoenix Suns. So I think first off, let's just talk about Vasilije Micic. People are going to like look at his numbers and be like, ew. But if you watch him, he's a high level passer who's going to be able to help run the second unit for the Phoenix Suns, while also they get themselves a guy who, yeah, he's primarily a three-point shooter. He's not going to take really much inside. And over his last 9 games, yes, he's been shooting 36% from the field, but he's shooting 42% from three, 92% from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 4 assists a night on 9 points a game. And his assist to turnover ratio is basically 4 assists, 2 turnovers. So that's 1 to 2 basically, or 2 to 1. And I've really have always liked Micic's game. I thought he was someone that, obviously at the NBA level, you can tell the athleticism has kind of held him back a little bit in terms of his effectiveness. But I'm not surprised by them bringing in Micic, who I think is going to be able to allow them to play well. Now, Cody Martin, I think, is awesome. They get themselves a big wing who can play the 2, the 3, the 4. He's 6'7" with a near 7-foot wingspan at like 6'10", 6'11". He can run the pick and roll as the ball handler. He can run the pick and roll as a wing, as the roll man. He can hit shots off the dribble. He's a solid outside shooter with his feet set, and he's an active defender who will guard 1 through 4. And he thrives both offensively and defensively in transition, and he has decent athleticism to hang around the best of them. So I think, again, as we said, this is a type of deal that when you're looking at it, you could tell that I think this really helps the bench of the Suns, because for them, they needed guys to help alleviate the floor. Charlotte's just selling guys and getting draft capital, but now that you have an idea of Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, Vasilije Micic, Colin Gillespie as the rotation. I'll show you guys a screenshot of what the depth chart would look like right now. And to me, I actually really like it. I think this fits with what this team needed, as it allows them to have more versatility and not be as reliant on their stars all the time to play make for others. Right here, Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards. Because Kevin Durant's out, but when Durant's back, Durant's at that power forward spot. And the small forward position has fluctuated with Ryan Dunn and Grayson Allen, like interchanging at times. But I think this allows you then to have Royce O'Neal, Vasilije Micic, Bradley Beal, Oso Iguodaro, Mason Plumlee. If they keep going with Bradley Beal off the bench, him, Monte Morris, and Cody Martin there. And Cody Martin's also a guy who could start. He fits like the team's point of emphasis, what they like to do, pretty well in my opinion. So I think that's one thing to look at, is that I think they did a really good job of putting together guys that kind of fit what they wanted to build here, which is length, guys who have high basketball IQ that aren't going to need the ball in their hands and are going to be able to play off of Durant, Beal, and Booker. Because to me, that makes sense what they were trying to do there, because they seemingly were a team that constantly were in talks or looking to think about making a move or doing a move. And I think them doing a move like this for two guys who are going to be able to help raise the ceiling is going to be something that really does help a Phoenix Suns team that one might say is going to really like getting themselves two guys in Cody Martin and Vasilije Micic that are going to be able to be just contributors immediately, even when their shots aren't falling. And I know some people are going to be like, well, what's his face? Micic is terrible at defense. I think Mike Budenholzer is like the perfect coach to address that and to make sure that he's going to be someone who they can mask, and that his impact defensively won't negate the team's production at all. So that's one thing I'm confident of, and I'm not worried. As time in and time out, again, we've seen Mike Budenholzer be able to, get guys into the program, and even if they have some question marks, he's just that good of a coach that he's repeatedly shown that it's more about people willing to buy into his system. And if that's the case, then you have two guys that are going to be able to do just that, which is what I think they want, and what's going to allow this team to raise their ceiling to be a bit better than what it currently projects. And that's nothing against them. It's obviously been an interesting year that they probably were expecting to go a bit smoother. And as a result, I think you're seeing, just a team that is looking for reinforcements with the assets that they can use, if that makes sense. Because you'd be lying if you said that they had, assets to make multiple moves, but because no, that's not the case. They basically are at Walmart going through that bargain bin of DVDs, trying to see if there's a good movie to watch that's better than what's on demand. So that's kind of how that one feels like. I mean, it's nothing against them. It's just what the situation is calling for as a result of the Jusuf Nurkic's contract being that bad. That's really why a deal like this ends up happening. Is, believe it or not, that contract is that bad that like most people didn't want to get involved. They saw that the compensation that they were going to give him, even though it becomes an expiring, I think it was just a hard one to move. And a lot of people were saying we're good, and I get it. I get why people were saying you're good, but I understand the Phoenix Suns feeling like they had to make a move. And we see that Ramona Shelburne says that supposedly their locker room is in shambles. So that's always interesting when you hear reports like that. But that's basically going to be it for me right here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you guys like this depth chart or not? Sorry for leaving it on the screen for like 4 minutes, but that's what you guys get.